All right, guys, let's talk about for in versus for off. So first of all, for in. So both methods essentially talk about going through a list of elements within a variable. We'll see which data types are supported, strings, objects, arrays. We'll see all these things in a minute. But the high level introduction is with for in and for off we can loop. Yeah, that's pretty obvious. I guess you already figured that out because we have the for keyword. Yeah, so in many programming languages, when you have a for structure, you iterate over a list of elements. So that's pretty much it. Both for in and for off will be useful to loop over the data contained by a given variable. So for in, the technical definition of for in is, we can say that it loops over the elements, or let me rephrase that, loops over the elements of an I'm trying to find the technical word to describe that, of an enumerable variable. The important word here is that one, the capital enumerable. What an enumerable variable is? An enumerable variable, it's a type of variable that we can essentially loop from the beginning to the end, not necessarily at any particular order. So, for instance, if we got the string hello, okay, with for in, we'll be able to enumerate the indexes associated to each character. So with for in, we'll be able to get the index. Can anyone tell me what's the first index?
Ricardo, I think you're on mute.
Oh, sorry. Say it again. Minji? I'm on mute. Oh. Okay. So give me a second. Can you hear me now, guys? What if I unmute myself? Is it working now? No. All right, guys. I don't know what's going on. Just give me a second. Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you. I can hear you. Not sure what's going on. It was working. It's all working suddenly. Okay, that's a bit weird. Can you hear me now at least? Okay. I have changed the microphone. Not sure how it will work. I'll check the settings afterwards. Okay, cool. So cool, fantastic. Let me increase the audio on my speakers. So okay, let's see if it works, guys. So I was saying that when talking about for in, we can loop over the elements or the keys, to be more precise, of an enumerable variable. So for instance, if we got a string hello, can you tell me what's, let's say, the first index associated to hello? Let's talk about numbers. So the first H is represented by which index? 0. That's correct. I can barely hear you, I'm afraid. But let me see if I can increase the volume. Minji, can you speak again, please? Yeah, it's 0. Yeah, the audio is crap. Don't ask me why. Anyway, yeah, I'll do my best. Yeah, it's 0. That's correct. So 0, then E is 1, then L is 2, the second L is 3, and finally the O is 4. Yeah, that's the way it works. So we got strings. What else we got? We got, can you think about, guys, any other data type that we can essentially iterate in the way? Arrays, that's correct. I mean, we got arrays. So for instance, A, B, C. So we can definitely enumerate the keys of the array. So the keys will be the indexes again. So it will be 0, 1, 2. What that number means? That number means we can retrieve the different elements of the variable HELLO. Can anyone tell me how can I get the character E using the index one? Yeah, correct. So if we have a variable called let string, yeah, and then let array. So Minji, how do we get the E of the variable string? That's correct. You see? So thanks to these indexes, we can get individual variables. So string 0 will return H. A string 4 will return O. What string of 5 will return, guys? Undefined. That's correct. It's undefined. Yeah. So pretty much the same thing with arrays. So can you tell me, guys, what array of 2 will return? C. That's correct. Yeah. Anything else, guys? Can you think any other variable type we can essentially loop using that syntax? That's correct, Minji. Objects. Why objects? If I got a variable called object equals name Peter age 21, can anybody tell me what are the keys of my object? That's correct, guys. That's correct. We got name and age. So the difference here is with strings and arrays, the keys are represented by a number, by an index to be precise, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0, whatever. Yeah. But when talking about objects, the keys are not numbers, are the strings representing the particular key of the object. So how can I access, for instance, using the square bracket notation? Can anyone tell me how can I access the age of the user? That's correct, Benji. You see? That's the way it works. I think someone was trying to connect to Hangouts. No? Okay. Yeah, so that's correct. So essentially, with for in, we'll be able to retrieve keys that will be a number in the case of strings and arrays, and will be a string in the case of objects. And thanks to these strings, we can then access any value associated to that index, talking about strings or array, or to that object, yeah, when we have a string. So let's present an example. So if I got a variable called, let's call it x, or string equals hello, yeah. And now I'm going to look at the syntax, guys. For, I'm creating a new variable, let index, in, and finally a string. Console.log, the index is index. So now, first of all, I got 2 breakpoints. Can anybody tell me what's going to be the execution order? So, guys, I need to fix the audio settings because I cannot hear anything. Just give me a second, please. Just 1 second. All right, can you hear me now? That means no. I can, I can. Okay, fantastic. Yeah, I can hear you perfectly. You can hear me, right? Ah, fantastic, fantastic, fantastic. So problem solved. So someone was trying to give me an answer. Can you, whoever was that person, can you please try again? Panos 868. Okay, let's leave it there. I don't want to say if it's right or wrong for now. Yeah. Minji, you wanted to say something? Not sure if the same or something else. How many times? 27? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like that, right? Okay, Daniel. Okay. And then Adam, are you around? Okay. And finally, Ian. Okay, that's interesting. I got a question for Panos, Minji, Dan, and Adam. Can you please tell me why the first line to be executed is number 8? Okay, so Dan, Adam, Panos, can you tell me why the first line is going to be 8? So Dan, Adam, Panos, why the first line? I'm not telling you are wrong. I'm just trying to argue your thoughts. Yeah, it's important, guys, to be able to defend your theories. So why the first line to be executed is 8? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that's not correct, guys. That's not correct. So remember, when we read JavaScript, we read it from top to bottom. So first of all, we declare the variable, and then once the variable is ready, we'll loop through it. Yeah. So yeah, it doesn't make sense to run line number 8 first. So we read the snippet top to bottom, top to bottom. So first we declare the variable, and then we loop through all the keys of this variable. So in other words, Ian is right. So if we run it, you see number 6, and then it will stop, as you some of you spotted, it will stop on line number 8 5 times. Can anybody tell me what's the first value of the index? That's 0. That's correct. Yeah. So you can see it's going through all the indexes of the uh, variable 5 times. Yeah. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So can anyone tell me how to complete this line? And the value on that index is what? Free. Free in brackets. Can you say it again, please? String. Correct. That's correct, Adam. That's absolutely right. Look, if we run it again, you see, the index is 0 and the value is a. The index is 1, the index no, and the value on that index is e. Blah 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 blah. Yeah. So that's correct, guys. That's the way you can iterate. Yeah. So the beautifulness about the for in operator is it gives you the indexes or the keys. So out of that key 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, we can also get the value using the square bracket notation. Any questions? No? Okay, so now let's create a new variable, an array. And the array will have two elements, hello and world. So now, can I add a breakpoint? No, I cannot. All right, so it's on line number 7. I don't mind. 6 or 7 is not going to make any difference. So can anyone tell me what's now the execution order? Minji, 7, 2 times. What do you think, guys, about Minji's approach? Right or wrong? Yeah? Adam, Ian, Dan? Yeah, well, yeah, I cannot. Yeah, it doesn't matter, but you can see because of a reason. But yeah, Adam, Ian, Dan. Yeah, so that's correct. Yeah, I'm happy that this time you found the correct execution order. Yeah, so that's correct. Now it will start. It will stop twice on this line number 8. Why? Because the array has 2 elements. Easy peasy. So what's the value associated to the first index, guys? So what was the first index, let's say? 0, that's correct. And what's the string on index 0? Hello, that's correct. Oh, string is not, oh, wait a minute. Oh, sorry, I forgot to rename it. Yeah, absolutely, sorry, my fault. All right, so if we run it again, you see, the index is 0 and the value is hello, the index is 1 and the value on that index is wall. Yeah, so you can see that strings and arrays have many similarities because both strings and arrays can be looped using for in, so we can get the keys. In all the cases are numbers. Yeah, and then finally we can get the values associated to these indexes. What about objects? Object name Peter, age 21. So for let index in object. So what's now the execution order? 688, that's correct, Minji. It's the same thing, yeah? You declare the variable, we start from line number 6, and then we iterate twice. But now the question is, what's the first index? Is it 0? That's correct. Panos and Minji, you're right. It's the first key, name. And then what's object of name? That's correct. Yeah, that's correct, Minji. So if we run it, we'll see in a second. You see, the index is name, and the value on that index is Peter. The index is age, and the value on that index is 21. So that's the way we can go through all the individual bits of a variable using for in, regardless of whether we got a string, an array, or an object. Why string, arrays, and objects? Because these 3 variable types are considered enumerables. We can enumerate the properties they have. What are the properties of the string hello? Or the keys 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. What properties can we enumerate of an array? The indexes 0, 1, 2. What properties can we enumerate of an object? The keys, name and age. Any questions, guys? No? You see, it's not particularly complicated, yes? Not at least compared to the higher order functions hell we covered yesterday, right? Okay, that's great. So if you got for in, for off is partially related. The syntax is very similar. The syntax is very similar. Let me go back to strings. String equals hello. Yeah, I'm going to present the same problem. Now the difference is, instead of for in, we're going to use for off. So for off loops over the elements, not the keys, the values of an iterable. You see, not enumerable, iterable variables. What's the difference between an enumerable variable and an iterable variable? We'll see that in a minute. We'll see it in a minute. Strings are both enumerable and iterable. So for instance, a string hello, index of object, the index will be not the key, not 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, but the value, yeah? So the first index will be H, the second index will be E, the third index will be L, yeah, and so on. So for off doesn't give us any key, it gives us the value. So if we run this example, hello, the index is will be H, then E, then L, then L, then O. Sorry, not object. Sorry, that's my fault. Let me rename it to string. And let me try again. Here you go. You see? You see? So for off gives you the value, each individual value on the variable. Any questions, guys? No. It's pretty simple, right? So if you want to get the values, you use for off. If you want to get the keys or the indexes, you use for in. It depends on what you want to do. Yeah? So that's with strings. With arrays, it's pretty much the same thing. Yeah, array, index of array is pretty much the same thing. So if what the hell is doing Chrome now? Sorry, guys. So can you tell me if I got array hello and world? So can you tell me what the output will be of this snippet? Correct. So I will display the index is hello and the index is world. I mean, technically speaking, I find a bit weird to call the variable index, yeah, but that's about semantics. That's a different story. So I will personally call it, I don't know, value probably. Yeah, it probably feels a bit more natural because we are actually fetching each individual or item or element, something like that. It's not a key, it's not an index as such. But now, what about the objects? Will that work, guys? Can anyone tell me what will this snippet return? The key value pair, what that means? So both. So the value is, so that will display the value is name Peter. What's that? Is that an array? All right, let's run it, guys. The outcome now is going to be surprising. Pay attention to the console at the bottom. Type error. Object is not iterable. You see what I told you about? Of an iterable variables. Are strings iterable? Yes. Are arrays iterable? Yes. Are objects iterable? No. No, that's wrong. That doesn't make any sense. Classic job interview question, guys. We cannot use for off with objects. And if you are thinking why, you can think that iterable variables are variables that we can loop sequentially in a particular order. So if I have a string, hello, is the order of the elements important? In other words, I'm typing, guys, at the bottom on the console now. Is hello the same as OLLAH? It's not the same. The order of the characters matter. Yeah, it's not the same. If you are speaking to someone, if I tell you hello, you will get what I'm saying. But if I told you Oli, whatever you pronounce that, you will say, what the hell is this guy talking about? Yeah. So when talking about the strings, the order matters. What about if we are presenting the results of a challenge? So is, guys, that the same? Would you consider these two arrays are the same? They are not the same. They are not the same because by definition, an array is a sorted list of elements. Yeah, so in this particular case, the first player is Peter, but on the second example, the first player is Annie. So they are not the same. In other words, when talking about strings or arrays, the order matters. However, what if I got that? Will you consider these objects the same or not? They are the same because in this particular case, objects have no order. Yeah? Some developers believe these objects are different, but that's wrong. The JavaScript standard doesn't specify any order when talking about objects. So name and age is the same as age and name. So in other words, we cannot iterate. We cannot tell, okay, give me the first element of the object. That doesn't make any sense. Objects don't manage the concept of give me the first, give me the second, and give me the third. That principle only applies to strings and arrays, but not to objects. That's why objects are not considered iterable variables, and consequently, we cannot use for of with objects. Does it make sense, guys? Yeah. So, I mean, I'll tell you something. That's pretty much it. I'm not going to take that any longer. There was a very nice article. Let me see if I can find it. If not, I'll find it. I'll search it afterwards. JavaScript for in versus for of. I read it long time ago. Hopefully, it's still somewhere. So let's see if I can find it because someone wrote a nice article with a very nice table. Because these things are, I mean, not easy to forget, but if you don't practice, eventually you'll completely forget what they talk about. So let's see if I can find the article. That's the one. You see, I'll send that link on Slack. You see, so a comparison. For in applies to enumerable properties, and for of applies to iterable collections. So for in works with everything. Yeah, I mean you can get some details, some advanced details about why it's not advised to use for in with arrays and strings. That goes beyond the scope of this session. But at least, guys, it's important to memorize, to remember this table, because in a job interview, if they ask you the differences between for in and for of, that's all you need to know. Yeah, even ignoring the not advised thingy. Yeah, it's important to remember this line here, and it's important to remember that essentially what that implies is that for in works with objects, arrays, and strings, but for of works just with strings and arrays, but not with objects. Anything else, guys? Oh, cool. Perfect. So, guys, let's do a 10 minutes break. So make sure you deploy your changes in your portfolio to your cloud. And in 10 minutes, let's connect again and let's proceed with the review of the portfolio. I will share all these resources in a minute on Slack. Thank you very much.